Before I begin, let me start by asking you a question. Raise your hand if you'd like to be even more fulfilled and successful in life, personally and professionally. Raise your hand. And raise your hand again if you'd like to achieve this feeling confident, happy, and healthy. Raise your hand. So the question is where are you now? Where are you right now? I mean, maybe you are finding that you're having to prove yourself again, and again. And you're always trying to do this to feel like you've got to be seen or heard. And the interesting thing is to everybody else, you're wearing that mask. You know, the coping mask, the one that makes you look like you're doing fine. And yet inside, you feel like you're dying inside. Or potentially, you're that person that can always be relied upon. You're trusted to deliver. And that list is ever growing, and it never seems to get smaller. But the thing is what they don't see is the long hours, the short weekends, the tiredness, and that pit in your stomach that you're slowly dying inside. Or perhaps, I'm sure a few of you can relate to this, you feel like you've got the responsibility of the world upon your shoulders. You feel responsible for everybody in the room, even for when you're not asked to. And if you're completely honest, you have a little bit of resentment as well. Because when was the last time someone said to you, "Are you all right, Val? How are you doing?" And by the way, some of this is our own doing. I think you've just mentioned this. And the other thing is, maybe you're diminishing yourself in those rooms, keeping your voice quiet, trying to be, well, like somebody else, trying to be like a man in a man's world. But the question is where do you want to be instead? Where would you love to be? I mean, imagine that time where you are in that boardroom and you've got the long white table, you've got everybody sitting around there, and you are delivering your presentation and they're all looking up at you. And they're looking up at you and they're leaning into what you've got to say because you are confident, you're speaking with authority, and you're proud of where you've got to. Or perhaps, I love this clicker, it's wonderful. Or perhaps you're also in that auditorium and everybody is coming up to you and they are shaking your hand. And you know why? Because you've just landed your ideal role or your ideal client or your most perfect project that you've always wanted. And you're being congratulated for this. And do you know what? You're lighting up inside. You're proud of who you are. Or the other thing, this is an interesting one. Picture this time where you are finally setting personal boundaries, personally and professionally. And you're learning to say no with confidence. And you know what? Is people are respecting you for that as well. And you're doing it softly. You're not doing it aggressively. And another thing is envisage this time where you are standing on that stage and you are looking out to the room and everybody is clapping and cheering you and you're doing it in a way where you've just done this amazing presentation. No notes, no nerves, and in your true voice. But if the question is that you're over here somewhere and you would like to be over here, how are you going to get there? Well, I believe you're going to get there through anchored leadership. And I just check that this is working there. There you go. Anchored leadership. And what do I mean by anchored leadership? Well, before I say that, it's anchored leadership without self-erasure. And what do I mean by self-erasure? Well, self-erasure, I think a lot of us have spoken about this today, is that we try to be someone else. We try to use somebody else's voice. We start being all things to all men, metaphorically speaking, until we get to a page where, well, we don't even know who we are. We just simply don't exist for ourselves, and we lose our identity. And the problem with this as well is that we do things like softening our authority to fit in. We can't speak up. Don't be emotional. I'm sure that's a word that you've often heard around here. And the other one is overcarrying. I've heard this again and again today. Overcarrying the burden of everybody else before you're even asked to. Taking on that load when it's not necessary. And the other thing, managing our tone, don't speak up. And, some of this is about ourselves, because if we speak up, we might be seen as aggressive or, got a bit of an attitude problem. I've said the word again, emotional. Yeah. Oh, she had one of those days. yeah, you can all relate to that one, can't you? Yeah. But this is where anchored leadership comes into. Because anchored leadership goes beyond that. It's about learning to carry what is yours to carry, not anybody else's, and letting go of what isn't yours to carry. And finally, leading from clarity. Because when you lead from clarity, that's where people will follow you. They respect you for who you are. As you mentioned, when you start doing those breathing exercises, your mind is clear. You have better focus. You have better decisions. And not only do you have better decisions, you trust those decisions. And why is it so important? Well, we've already mentioned, it's funny, is as we go through this, so many things over and over again, the one thing that high-performing women are really, really good at is not collapsing. It's not that they collapse, they keep on going and going. They adapt. And when they adapt, that's when they lose who they are and erase themselves. And at the end of the day, over-prepare. Recovering people pleaser, perfectionists. Every single time it came to a presentation, the last night I'm updating to the nth degree. Most of the people in the room didn't care. They weren't worried about it. They wouldn't spot the dot or comma or something like that you put in somewhere. Learning verbatim. Telling someone, I've forgotten the words. Well, they didn't know you'd forgotten until you told them. I mean, why do we do that? So, the other one, absorbing the tension in the room. I, myself, people pleaser. I was raised from an early age that I needed to feel responsible for everybody else. And I didn't like conflict. So what did I do? I was the entertainer. I made everybody laugh. I made everybody happy because it was safe. Because if I didn't, then I didn't know what was going to occur around me. It was a protection for me, my family, and my loved ones. And this is, again, editing yourself. Stop being who you are, trying to adapt. And this is what leads to what we've been discussing today, burnout. When we start doing all of these things that we've been talking about today, that's when burnout kicks in. And when you have burnout, trust me, it's not a case of going on holiday for 2 weeks and we'll get over it. Have a rest, love, you'll be fine. I mean, who says that? When I suffered burnout, I mentally and physically shut down in 2020. I got made redundant from the company I'd been in for 23 years. And overnight, I lost my identity because I did all of the things that I'm talking about here. I couldn't speak to my family. I couldn't speak to my friends. COVID struck. I couldn't even speak to a therapist. So I had to find my own way. Again, wearing another mask. But the reality is that, thankfully, I took a few months to recover. Now, there are many women that I have spoken to, high-achieving women, that either in their workplace, they have collapsed so badly, they've been carried out on meetings, and it's not been weeks, it's not been months, it's been years, and in some cases they've ended up in hospital because the body physically shuts down. I mean, Bowie was talking about this earlier. And that's the reason why. And leadership shouldn't be a case of shrinking you. Leadership should stretch you. And in fact, I'd love you to write that down because it's so important. We should be proud of ourselves. It should stretch us and be proud of it. Oh, I'll allow you to take a picture. And the other thing that high-performing women do, you know, one of the great things about being resilient? Well, it's not great. It's that we're resilient. And because we're resilient, what actually happens? We protect the systems, but it doesn't protect people. And when we're doing the, super resilient thing, we keep on pushing through. We soldier on regardless. We're that superwoman that can do anything. Super mum, super manager, super leader, super everything. And we're not. And the other thing is that we lean into things. And when we're leaning into it, what I mean by that is that emotional woman sitting in there, starts getting anxious or shooting from the hip maybe on the odd occasion, or, losing the temper. There she goes again. And staying strong. That mask that we put on ourselves. And you can see it. You can see it in the eyes. The eyes are slowly dying inside. So you might be smiling. Everything's fine. Yeah. But you can't. You can see it in the eyes. And this is where resilience is. Resilience happens. And it's great, okay? External factors will always occur. And there's nothing we can do about it. But the important part about it is the recovery in between. Because when we take care of ourselves, we can deal with those situations. Take that time to decompress. Learn how to breathe. How many people in the room at the moment are holding your breath? Think about that. Yeah. And you don't even realise you're doing it. And when you're in those situations of anxiety, you're holding your breath. And that's when your shoulders go up, your neck gets tight, your brain starts dysfunctioning, you forget what you've got to say, those kind of things. So, when you start recovering and you start looking after yourself, that's when you then start improving your performance. In fact, women's performance increases by 40% when they re-energise and re-inject some vitality in their body. It also means that they start making 78% better decisions because their mind is clearer, they're more focused. You know when you say that thing about, I am at my best, my creative at night because my brain is really active, that's not because you're creative, it's because your brain's not shut down. And when you get up and try and do the work, it will take you 10 times longer than if you'd actually recovered during the day and looked after yourself, because it'd take you probably 15 minutes instead of an hour. So, don't fool yourself that that's your creative time. And the other thing is it has a 3 times impact on your team as well. Because you think of it like this, when you've got people in the room that are really energetic, really inspiring, you follow those individuals. So you want to actually do more. You will do more. It's so much better for you. Another reason why it's so important is at the end of the day, people do not promote perfection. They promote authenticity. Hold that thought. And another reason why, what I should say is why is it so important right now? Well, as I've already mentioned, is one of the biggest challenges of high-performing women is that they suffer with burnout. And McKinsey did a report in 2022 to 23 that they said that over 60% of women in leadership roles have suffered burnout. In corporate America, executive suites, 76%. So all these women spent all this time trying to actually grow in their careers, only to find out they've had to give up. And another reason why we've been speaking about today, AI. The world is changing and we need to adapt. And do you know the one thing that AI cannot do and that women are really strong at is emotional intelligence. And we are crying out for it. And this is what we want, is leadership with emotional intelligence. And then finally, one of the things that you was talking about earlier is the gender bias gap. Well, it's not just about the gender bias gap. And by the way, we're not talking a few years that's going to close. We're talking, I think, last time I saw a report on this, and you probably know more than that, I think it was something in the region of about 63 years in Northern Europe, 60-something in the rest of Europe, and the US is like in the hundreds. So-called modern society. But this confidence gap is the bit where we need to make a change, because one of the things that men are really, really good at is that they have got confidence gap. They'll take calculated risks. They'll take up opportunities. They believe in themselves. And this is where we need to change. The only way we can change this is by us doing something about it ourselves. And then the final thing is that the reason why we need to do this is that your time is now. Because none of us, I'm sorry to say, are getting any younger. And by the way, what used to take, years to get to Christmas when we were little kids, when it comes now, as soon as Christmas is gone, it's halfway through the year. I mean, who'd have thought we're in March already? So, I have a question to ask you, a bit of reflection. My question to you, the next time you ask yourself, before you start volunteering, and before you start taking on the responsibility for yourself, for somebody else, is please ask this question. Is this mine to carry? How is this serving me? Another thing, we're going to start thinking about how we're going to re-inject some vitality and energy in our bodies. And one of those things is how am I going to protect my sleep? And by the way, that's how you start your day. Because if you are reaching for your phone and you start doom scrolling or texting or reading emails, you're starting your body in a state of anxiety. And that is how you finish your day, which is why your sleep ends up being so poor. And also, before you go to bed, switch off an hour and a half, something like that. Wind down, let your body calm, step away, rest, breathe. Protect your thinking time. Sorry to say this, ladies, but there is no such thing as multitasking well. We can do it, but it's not done well. And if you need to be able to do something and you need to focus your mind, you need to step away from where you are and concentrate on that one thing. And another thing is reduce switching from one activity to another, a phone call, an email, a conversation, a meeting, doom scrolling on your phone, social media, read an email. All of these things are all disrupting you. And then finally, think about all of you. Where am I over-preparing? Where am I processing, or what am I processing at night over and over again? Where am I softening myself to fit in? And what am I normalising? Okay? Because what I would love with all of you is to reclaim your authority. And the way in which you're going to do that is by having your natural tone and being proud of your natural tone. Being clear about your decision style and trusting the decisions you make. I'll put my teeth back in. And putting boundaries in place. And then finally, it's being clear about what your ambition is. You do it for you and not for anybody else. Okay? I'm going to skip these ones because this lady over here is... So all of these, take a picture of these and please have a think about it tonight. And see, I'll move out your way. It's all right, I can see you. Move. Okay? All right? So, if anybody wants to learn any more, just find out where you are. I've got some quizzes just to see where you are. Just scan the QR code, and I'd love to have a chat with you. All right? Thank you. Oh, that's yours.
my mind.